Welcome back, everyone, to The Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the world of online gaming and online gambling.
Two digital giants.
Right. And we're going to explore how those worlds are kind of, how they overlap.
They're distinct, but they're also converging in some really fascinating ways.
Exactly. So let's start with the basics. How do we even, define online gaming and online gambling?
Okay, well, when we're talking online gaming, picture this. A whole universe of digital experiences. Everything from those massive multiplayer online games like World of Warcraft.
Oh, yeah, those are huge.
Yeah, where players are building these whole online lives,
Right.
And then you've got, on the other end of the spectrum, those quick mobile puzzle games that you can just, play for 5 minutes.
Totally.
But the common thread, I think, is that it's about, having fun.
Yeah, it's about entertainment.
Yeah.
Skill development.
Plus Jaws aspect.
For sure.
Exactly.
And so how does online gambling fit into this whole picture?
So online gambling adds another layer. It brings in this element of real-world risk and reward.
Okay.
So you're actually wagering money on uncertain outcomes. Think, roulette, think poker.
Oh, so like classic casino games.
Exactly. But it's not limited to just those. We're seeing the rise of sports betting.
Oh, wow.
Esports betting.
Okay.
Even virtual sports where you're betting on simulated events. It's a whole other world.
So one is about, playing for the thrill of the game itself, the experience.
Yeah.
And the other is about, the thrill of maybe winning money.
Yeah, the potential for winning, exactly.
But they both kind of tap into, our human need for competition.
For sure. And I think that's what makes it so interesting, because both of these industries are getting really, really good at understanding players,
Yeah.
and figuring out how to engage them, how to, keep them coming back.
It's like they're both playing on the same psychological playing field, even if the goals are ultimately different.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's break down some of the key differences here.
Okay.
Starting with what kinds of games are we talking about?
Okay, so online gaming is, like I said, it's a huge variety. We're talking first-person shooters, RPGs, strategy games, sports simulations, you name it.
Right, tons of options.
And then there are those virtual worlds where people can, kind of create and interact and build these whole societies. It's crazy.
And online gambling, though, they stick to, I guess, a smaller, a more specific set of games.
Yeah, I mean, think of your traditional casino games, slots, roulette, poker, blackjack. Those are all, there. But like I said, we are seeing those newer categories emerging too.
So online gaming, it's all about, the experience, the journey. It's about the game itself.
Yeah.
Online gambling, it sounds like the game is almost secondary.
Yeah.
It's about, the wagering, the potential to win money.
Right.
Okay, so that's a big difference in motivation.
Yeah.
And how does that difference, how does that shape the actual player experience?
So I think online gaming, it often relies heavily on that social interaction,
Right, like building communities.
Yeah, you've got players forming guilds, teams, making friends, and it can be a really social experience. Whereas with online gambling,
Is it more solo?
yeah, I'd say it tends to be a bit more solitary. I mean, there might be chat features.
Okay, sure.
But really, the focus is on the individual player, their bets, and their outcome,
Right.
It's about that thrill of the risk,
Okay.
the anticipation, and the possibility of that, that big win.
Yeah, so risk, that's another big difference. You mentioned earlier online gaming can have in-app purchases, but it feels like the stakes are totally different.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, with online gaming, those purchases are usually about making your experience better,
Okay.
Like getting a competitive edge.
Maybe you get a cool skin for your character. Exactly.
Or, maybe you're unlocking special abilities or speeding up your progress.
Okay, so it's about investing in your own enjoyment.
Right.
Not about making money directly.
Exactly. Whereas with online gambling, it's all about putting real money on the line.
Yeah.
And every spin, every hand, every bet,
Every decision.
yeah, you could win or lose.
So that's a huge difference.
For sure.
And it's probably why, there's so many more regulations
Oh, yeah.
around online gambling, right?
Absolutely. The higher the stakes, the more important it is to have those controls in place.
Right.
And I think as both of these industries keep growing and changing, figuring out those regulations is going to be even more crucial than ever.
And it sounds like they're facing similar challenges.
Yeah, definitely. Both are dealing with issues like, responsible gaming practices, age verification, preventing fraud. It's a lot to tackle.
Okay, so we've talked about some big differences. But what really stand out to me is how much both industries are like using technology to create these really compelling experiences.
Right.
What are some of the I guess the biggest trends that are shaping both online gaming and online gambling right now?
Well, I think the biggest one is the shift to mobile. I mean, smartphones have basically put these digital worlds
in our pockets.
Yeah, exactly.
You can play anywhere.
Anytime.
Yeah.
And I think that has led to a boom in like mobile first game design and like just the way that these games are designed
Makes sense.
to work on those smaller screens, you know.
It's pretty amazing how seamless the whole experience has become.
Yeah.
You could be like fighting dragons on your commute home.
Totally.
Or like placing a bet on a
live esports tournament while you're, in line for coffee.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is. And the technology just keeps evolving. I mean, we're seeing both industries really start to embrace like virtual reality.
Oh, wow.
And augmented reality to make those experiences even more immersive.
Oh, that's cool.
Like imagine stepping into a virtual casino, interacting with other players and dealers in a totally lifelike environment.
Okay, that would be wild.
Or like, what about battling mythical creatures in an AR game, like right in your living room, you know?
Cool.
Where the game is actually like overlaid on your actual surroundings.
Wow.
Pretty wild stuff.
Yeah, it really does seem like the line between the digital world and the real world is like blurring more and more.
I think so.
And that's especially true when we look at how both industries are using data.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gathering so much information.
It's a ton of data.
On players.
About player behavior, their preferences, what they like to spend money on.
It's a little creepy.
It can be a little unsettling.
Yeah, to think about it that way.
But I mean, from a business perspective.
Sure, yeah.
It makes sense. I mean, this data is incredibly valuable.
Yeah, I guess so.
They can use it to personalize game recommendations or, tailor specific offers to different players.
Oh, right, to keep them engaged.
Exactly.
Oh.
And they can even change the way the game works in real time to keep people playing. Like, for example, an online casino might, notice that someone's been losing a lot and then offer them a bonus or some free spins just to,
keep them hooked.
Keep them going, yeah.
Okay, that's pretty intense.
Yeah, they're always looking for ways to, to kind of tweak that experience and maximize engagement.
Yeah, and revenue, let's be honest.
Yeah, of course. But this brings us to something really interesting that our source material talks about.
Okay.
Which is the idea that you can actually convert online gamers into online gamblers.
Okay, this is getting to the core of what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Is this like a deliberate strategy on the part of the companies?
Well, according to the research, there are definitely some tactics that companies can use to kind of bridge those two worlds.
Interesting.
It's all about understanding what makes both types of players tick, and then figuring out how to kind of blend those elements of gaming and gambling to make these hybrid experiences that are super compelling.
So I'm trying to picture what that looks like in practice. Are we talking about adding slot machines to Call of Duty?
Not necessarily. It can be a lot more subtle than that,
Right.
Imagine a mini game within a fantasy RPG. Where you can wager some of your in-game currency on the outcome of a duel or a race.
Interesting.
Or what about a loot box system?
Yeah.
Where players have a chance to win rare items that actually have real world value.
So you're still playing the game for fun.
Yeah.
But there's that little bit of risk.
That little taste of risk.
And reward that might appeal to someone who's interested in gambling.
And another strategy is to kind of blur the lines between virtual currency and real world rewards. So imagine earning virtual coins or tokens in a game.
Right.
But then you can actually exchange those for gift cards.
Oh, that's cool.
Or merchandise or even cash.
That's interesting.
It's like a loyalty program, but it also taps into that same that same desire for like
world reward,
tangible rewards.
Yeah.
That a lot of gamblers have.
I think that makes sense.
And then, of course, there's events and tournaments.
Right.
Those are a great way to give players like a little taste of betting and odds.
Okay.
But in a more, controlled environment.
So it's like a gateway to real money gambling.
Yeah, kind of.
But without like the full risk.
Exactly. And as technology keeps getting more advanced, I think we're going to see these lines blur even more. Like, just imagine like virtual reality esports tournaments where spectators can like place bets on the outcome while they're watching.
Oh, that would be wild.
I know, right? Or like AR games that have like location-based gambling elements, like you're walking down the street.
Okay.
And you get a notification that like there's a virtual slot machine right around the corner. I mean, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, and kind of hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot to think about.
It's both like exciting, but also a little bit scary, right?
I think so. I mean, it definitely raises some important questions about, what are the ethical implications of all this?
Right.
What kind of impact is it going to have on, on players, especially young people who are growing up in this world where those lines are already so blurry.
And that leads to, I think, our final like thought-provoking question for today.
Mm-hmm.
So as these lines get, blurrier and blurrier between gaming and gambling, what do you see happening? Like, what are the implications for the future of online entertainment? Is this like a good thing? Is it a bad thing?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big question, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to say for sure. I mean, on the one hand, this convergence could lead to like some really amazing, really innovative new experiences.
Yeah, I can see that.
Imagine like virtual worlds where you can't even tell where the gaming ends and the gambling begins.
Right.
And it's all like seamlessly integrated with social interaction.
Right.
I mean, the potential there is huge in terms of, entertainment and even just like connecting with people.
But I also feel like there's, a potential downside here.
Okay.
We've been talking about how these industries, they kind of use the same psychological triggers.
Mm-hmm.
If those lines get too blurry, is there a risk that like more people are going to develop gambling problems?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think that's a very valid concern.
Yeah.
And it's why, we need to be talking about responsible gaming practices.
Yeah.
And having, good regulation is going to be so important.
More important than ever.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to make sure that players, especially young people.
Especially people who are like new to gambling.
Yeah, exactly.
They need to understand the risks.
Yeah.
And they need to have, access to support if they need it.
Okay, so regulations are key. What about like the role of technology in all of this?
Oh, that's another big piece of the puzzle, right? I mean, algorithms are already being used to like, personalize game experiences and target people with certain offers.
Yeah.
As the systems get like more and more sophisticated, how do we make sure that they're being used ethically?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That they're not like taking advantage of people,
Right.
That's where I think, transparency and accountability come in.
Yeah.
Players need to know how these systems work.
Yeah.
They need to know what data is being collected.
Mm-hmm.
And then, regulators need to be holding those companies accountable, for using this technology responsibly.
It feels like we're, just at the beginning of all this. Like there's so much that we still don't know. But I think just having these conversations, raising awareness about the potential risks and the potential benefits, I think that's a good first step.
I agree. I mean, the future of online entertainment is being shaped right now.
Yeah.
And I think it's really up to all of us, players, developers, regulators to make sure that this convergence leads to, positive experiences for everyone.
Well, I think that's a great place to wrap things up. Thanks for diving deep with us today into the world of online gaming and online gambling. Sure. It's a fascinating landscape.
Definitely complex. A lot to unpack.
For sure. But we hope that this conversation has given you, a little bit more insight into what's going on and why it matters.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, hopefully you'll stay engaged as this whole digital world keeps evolving.
For sure. It's going to be interesting to see where it all goes.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks for listening, everyone.